imagine after all that they were able to get a $38 billion deal, and you know, Republicans are claiming victory because they're saying that the Democrats were coming at it with, they didn't want to spend anything, they didn't want to cut anything, right? And so now they're saying this is a pretty good deal, as Speaker Boehner points out, and yet it only is a drop in the bucket in that we've already spent in a few days what this particular cut represents. And,
this is true.
And
yeah.
what do you think about the deal that was reached and how it came together?
Well, you know, I think it was a sort of dress rehearsal for what the really important fight's going to be, and that's on this $14 trillion, what is it called, the national debt, I guess, I mean, money that we owe everybody.
Yeah.
And they better get very much in the mood for cutting. I mean, $38 billion is a drop in the bucket, and it seems as though both parties, despite the aggressiveness and I think the rightness of the Tea Party in pushing for huge cuts in the way we spend money, the message doesn't seem to have reached either party yet. Well, it doesn't seem to have reached the Democrats or the Republicans.
I think the emperor wears no clothes. We're all just kidding ourselves here. I mean, we are. The amount of money that we trim, it's nothing. And both sides, the left and the right, Republicans, Democrats, Tea Party, they'll compare it to a credit card. And they'll say, would you, with your own credit card, are you going to go over the maximum limit? Well, we have to. We're out of money. So the Democrats say, well, we want to pay interest on what we go over, and the Republicans say we don't want to go over at all. We're kidding ourselves. Look at your own self with your own credit card. Would you do that for yourself personally? I think most people would say no, I wouldn't.
I mean, there are things that have been taken for granted, like student loans. I mean, that's a relatively new concept in American history. I mean, why do there have to be student loans? I mean, people used to work their way through college. I know the prices are high and all of that, but let's face it, all of this is part of the same web. And insurance for children, I mean, zillions of dollars for that. I mean, when did that ever become such a huge expense? It's Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the Department of Defense, and that's where they have to cut.
Do you think we can have an effective conversation about cutting the budget without tackling Obamacare right now, the actual health care legislation that was just passed?
Well, I think that what's going to happen through this debate is there's going to be a forced conversation about that. They will have to debate Obamacare. There's not going to be a choice.
You know, I just learned this week, I don't like to bring personal examples into this, but this is so timely. Talking to my doctor, and he said, you know, I'm afraid I have a little bad news. You know, and I didn't ask him if I had cancer. I said to him, you're going to retire, aren't you? He said, yes.
You knew it.
And he's only 65.
Yeah.
And
he can't deal with it
it's
anymore.
Obamacare.
Right.
He can't afford, for example, the money that it would cost to redo the whole computer system. And you're only reimbursed if they deem it to be quote unquote meaningful. I mean, give me a break. Meaningful? That's right out of the left-wing handbook. I mean, and so this is what people are. It's on the line now. Doctors are going to be rare.
I think doctors already are rare. I think that
certainly
again,
good doctors are. Yeah.
My personal experience, you know, on the patient side, through 20 years of chronic illness with my wife, is that the system never has worked for the doctors. It's never worked for the patients.
But this is I mean, forcing people out of business and putting the kind of paperwork on them and the cost. Nothing in the Obama plan does anything about the cost of suing your.
I have two brothers.